Japan's bomber confirms the scariest military prediction. Here's how. A new shadow in the sky. In the vast expanse of the Pacific, a new silhouette has appeared on radar screens. One that has caught the attention of U.S. intelligence, rattled China's military planners, and fulfilled a long-dreaded prediction. Japan, once strictly bound by its post-World War II pacifist constitution, has quietly crossed a major threshold. Their new stealth bomber project has entered the prototype phase, and it's more than just a symbolic shift. The scariest military prediction, one where Japan, driven by growing regional threats, would rearm into a cutting-edge force capable of strategic offensive strikes, is no longer a hypothetical. It's happening, and this bomber is proof. Let's break down what this bomber is, how it changes the balance of power, and why it confirms one of the most unnerving projections in modern military history. From pacifist to powerhouse, Japan's military evolution. Following World War II, Japan adopted a pacifist constitution. Article 9 explicitly renounced war and prohibited the maintenance of offensive military forces. For decades, Japan stuck to strictly defensive capabilities. But starting in the early 2000s, things began to shift. North Korea's missile launches over Japanese territory, China's aggressive moves in the East and South China Seas, a rapidly evolving Indo-Pacific security environment. Slowly, and then all at once, Japan began reinterpreting its constitution, expanding its self-defense forces (SDF), purchasing U.S. weapons like the F-35, developing indigenous missile systems, and now entering the world of strategic bombing. Introducing the Shadow Dragon, Japan's stealth bomber. While the official name remains classified, Japanese defense insiders refer to the program as the Shadow Dragon. It's believed to be a next-generation stealth strategic bomber project under the umbrella of Japan's Future Fighter and Strike Systems Initiative. Partnering with Mitsubishi Heavy Industries and possibly leveraging technologies from the FX, now GCAP, stealth fighter project, this aircraft will mark Japan's first step into long-range precision strike from the air. Let's break down what we know. Stealth-first design. Similar to the US B-21 Raider or China's H-20, this bomber emphasizes low radar cross-section, possibly with blended wing body geometry. Subsonic profile. Designed to fly under the radar and strike deep inland, not for speed but survivability. Long-range strike. Capable of carrying precision-guided cruise missiles and potentially hypersonic payloads. Autonomous systems. Expected to be optionally manned, with heavy use of AI-assisted targeting and electronic warfare tools. Modular payloads. Able to carry anti-ship missiles, standoff land attack weapons, and possibly electronic countermeasure pods. Why this bomber is a strategic earthquake. A stealth bomber is not a defensive asset. It's an offensive tool, a weapon of first strike or deterrent value. Japan building one signals a complete transformation of its military posture. This single platform allows Japan to hit targets deep inside adversary territory, complicates Chinese and North Korean strategic planning, bolsters Japan's deterrence independent of the US. It's a clear sign that Japan is preparing for scenarios where it might have to act alone, or at least more autonomously. US backing or quiet alarm. Here's where it gets even more interesting. The US has historically been Japan's military partner and protector, but Washington has also been wary of Japan developing full-blown offensive capabilities. However, with China's rapid military expansion, the US has quietly encouraged Japan's rearmament. The Shadow Dragon is rumored to include American stealth tech components, possibly radar-absorbent materials, AI combat processors, or even shared logistics compatibility with US strike platforms. But this isn't just a hand-me-down or a sidekick platform. Japan is building something unique, and Washington is watching carefully. The scariest prediction comes true. For years, military analysts warned of a future where rising tensions in Asia would push Japan to become a full-spectrum military power. That scenario included Japan fielding strike bombers, developing indigenous missile systems, building an air force capable of offensive sorties deep into enemy territory. And now every box has been checked. In 2023, Japan unveiled the Type 12 missile upgrade, a long-range cruise missile capable of hitting ships and land targets over 1,000 kilometers away. In 2024, Japan expanded joint drills with the UK, Australia, and US, simulating multi-domain combat. And now, in 2025, a stealth bomber enters prototype testing. Prediction fulfilled. The genie is out of the bottle. China and North Korea respond. Beijing has responded with uncharacteristic nervousness. Chinese military commentators on state-run channels have referred to Japan's bomber as a legacy of militarism reborn. Japan's stealth bomber is more than a war machine, it's a symbol of a nation that has watched the world change, watched its enemies grow bolder, and decided it would no longer stand defenseless. It confirms the scariest prediction that Japan would once again become a dominant military force. Not out of conquest, but out of necessity. But under the bluster lies genuine concern. A stealth bomber means Japan can bypass China's A2/AD anti-access/area denial defenses. It threatens Chinese naval assets around Taiwan and the Senkaku Islands. It forces China to reallocate air defense assets that were focused elsewhere. North Korea, meanwhile, has condemned Japan's military aggression and vowed retaliation if provoked. Pyongyang's missile launches and propaganda videos have increased in frequency, perhaps a signal they feel cornered. How this changes the game in the Indo-Pacific. Japan now joins a very exclusive club. Only the US, Russia, and China operate strategic bombers. Even fewer operate stealth bombers. If Japan brings the Shadow Dragon into active service, it will become Asia's second stealth bomber power. Add another layer to the Quad Alliance's military muscle. Be capable of striking targets in mainland China, North Korea, and potentially even further with in-air refueling. But it's not just about offense. It's about credible deterrence. The bomber gives Japan the power to say, if you hit us first, we can hit back, harder and deeper than ever before. The bigger picture, Japan's global military ambitions? It's not just about regional defense anymore. With the Shadow Dragon, Japan could play a role in global power projection, multi-theater operations alongside NATO or AUKUS, strike missions in support of allies in Asia, Africa, or the Middle East. This would have been unthinkable 2 decades ago. Japan's military budget is now among the world's top 5. Its technology base is world-class, and its political will is hardening. Conclusion: the return of a military giant. Japan's stealth bomber is more than a war machine, it's a symbol of a nation that has watched the world change, watched its enemies grow bolder, and decided it would no longer stand defenseless. It confirms the scariest prediction that Japan would once again become a dominant military force. Not out of conquest, but out of necessity. Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more captivating content on our YouTube channel.